Hey there, you know how sometimes nature can be, well, really powerful? Today, we're going to jump right into that. We're talking about natural hazards, or in Swahili, hatari za kiasili. What is a natural hazard, really? Well, it's basically something big and powerful that happens in nature, and it can be dangerous. For every single one we look at, we're going to be detectives and ask three super important questions. First, what's the cause? In Swahili, that's sababu. Second, what's the effect, or athari? And the biggest question of all, what are the safety actions, the tendo lau salama, that we can take to stay safe? Let's figure it out.
All right, first up, we're talking about floods and earthquakes. So let's start with floods, or mafuriko. You know when it rains and just doesn't stop? Well, a flood is what happens when there's just way too much water. Okay, let's break this down. The sabab, the cause, is all that heavy rain. And the athari, the effect, well, all that water has to go somewhere, right? It ends up covering everything, roads, farms, even people's houses. And that brings us to the most important part, your usalama, your safety. If you ever see that water rising, the number one rule is to get to high ground, fast.
So let's see this in a Swahili sentence. Watu walikimbia kwenda hospitali. That means the people ran to the hospital. And you can see why that would be tough during a flood, right? Getting to important places would be really hard.
And look at this one. Majengo yalijaa maji. That means the buildings filled with water. Whoa, you can just imagine how serious and scary that would be. All right, we've talked about too much water. Now let's talk about the ground itself moving. This is an earthquake. In Swahili, it's called tetemeko la ardhi, which is perfect because it literally means shaking of the ground. So what's the sababu, the cause? It actually happens way deep under the ground. Huge pieces of rock are moving around and bumping into each other. The athari, the effect, is what we feel up on the surface, shaking. And that shaking can make buildings and bridges break. So what's our usalama? What's our safety plan? It's super important to remember these three things: drop, cover, and hold on.
And here's that exact safety action in a Swahili sentence. Wanafunzi walificha vichwa chini ya mezani. That means the students hid their heads under the table. See? That's exactly how you protect yourself.
And wow, look at the kind of damage an earthquake can do. Daraja lilivunjika katikati. The bridge broke in the middle. That really shows you how powerful they are. You guys are doing awesome. Okay, let's switch it up. Now we're going to look at two hazards that are all about heat and not enough water: drought and wildfire. Okay, so think about the total opposite of a flood. That's a drought, or kiangazi. This is what happens when it just doesn't rain for a really long time. The sabab here is pretty simple. No rain, just a hot sun day after day. But the athari, the effect, that's really serious. Rivers and lakes can actually dry up, and the plants that people and animals rely on for food start to die. That's why the usalama, the safety action, is for everyone. We all have to help by saving every single drop of water we can.
And you can totally imagine how hard this would be for people who grow food for a living. Wakulima walihuzunika sana. That means the farmers were very sad. I mean, of course they would be, because without any rain, their crops just won't grow.
All right, our last natural hazard for today is the wildfire. In Swahili, it's called moto wa porini, which literally translates to fire of the bush.
So what's the sababu here? Well, it usually happens when everything is super hot and dry. Sometimes a single bolt of lightning is all it takes to start a huge fire. The athari, the effect, is just devastating. Trees are burned and animals have to run for their lives to escape. This makes the usalama, the safety action, super clear and really important. Get away from the fire and smoke immediately and call for help.
And it's not just people who are in danger. Wanyama walikimbia kutoka porini. That means the animals ran away from the bush. They're all trying to find a safe spot far away from the fire.
You guys have done some fantastic work. We've learned a ton about these hazards. So now let's put on our language expert hats and see how we can build our very own sentences to talk about all this. First things first, let's quickly go over the key nouns, or majina, that we've been using. We've got words like mvua for rain, watu for people, and nyumba for houses. Think of these as the building blocks for our sentences. Okay, time for a little grammar secret. You know how in English we add ed to talk about something that happened in the past? Well, Swahili has a super easy trick for that too.
You just use this special little marker, li, and pop it right inside the verb. Let me show you how it works.
All right, let's take this to the next level. There's a really powerful phrase in Swahili, kwa sababu. It means because, and it lets us connect a cause and an effect together in one awesome sentence. Check this out. Mafuriko yalitokea, the floods happened. Kwa sababu mvua ilinyesha sana, because it rained a lot. See how that works? It connects the two ideas perfectly.
Whoa, we have covered so much today. Let's do one final safety review and pull everything together so we know exactly what to do.
Think of this chart as your ultimate safety guide. Let's run through it quick. For a flood, mafuriko, what do? Get to high ground. For an earthquake, tetemeko, you know it, drop, cover, and hold. During a drought, kiangazi, save water. And for a wildfire, moto wapurini, get away and call for help. Perfect.